So when do you begin to look out for ice?
Oscar India Tango Romeo, this is Motor Anchor Purple Star. How do you read?
Sorry, River.
Purple Star, we are also heading towards Primorsk. We just wanted to know the ice condition there in Primorsk.
It's start heavy ice.
So, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Max 60.
Information from local ships, weather reports and satellite images, as well as the gradual freezing of the sea, indicate the proximity of pack ice and the need for vigilance. But icebergs are often unseen and very unpredictable.
On the same course, look at because the program.
Masters should avoid iceberg zones, but if that is not possible, the correct procedures must be followed.
Photobus traffic, Bergen Nord, Lima.
When approaching the Canadian coast, 96 hours before we enter the Coast Guard limits, we have to send them a notification of our arrival. They give us permission to enter the zone. At the same time, they give us the ice conditions within the zones that we are going to be entering, and also the recommended route.
But you will see on this iceberg chart that this icebergs tend to move south. These numbers given here are the number of icebergs in this square mile. So this is very helpful for us both for passage planning and visually to make out what the iceberg spread is in this area.
These help decide when to set up observation routines and the number of lookouts per watch. In poor conditions, icebergs can be difficult to see. They can be concealed in fog or blend in with the grey sky and sea. It is especially difficult at night or in the half-light of an Arctic winter. Extreme vigilance is necessary at all times in iceberg zones.
If you have a little bit of wind, they could get lost even with the white horses and the waves. It's not so easily visible because they're white. And if you're going to be hitting this at considerable speed, it can really damage the vessel.
Radar is useful, but sea clutter can hide the reflections from an iceberg.
Icebergs will not give a good reflection. They're not good radar targets as such. Some icebergs which can be sort of flattened on the top will not get them showing on a target, but then you will see a sort of a shadow sector in that area. If you see a shadow sector, then you have to assume that there is something in that direction. You have to be wary in those directions. The good thing to do is, when you have good visibility, is to try and see how your radar picture correlates with what you are actually seeing.
With radar pictures being unreliable, a wise captain must rely on the sensors of the human body. The eyes and ears can detect and interpret signals that their electronic counterparts might miss. A flat sea in a fresh breeze indicates a large object to windward. Thunderous sounds, but with no accompanying storm, could suggest an iceberg breaking up. And the presence of growlers and small pieces of floating ice could also indicate the disintegration of an iceberg. At night, the sound of breakers where no land is expected would suggest a large object to be avoided.
In case of even further foggy conditions, and if we really suspect that there are more icebergs around, and if there's a high concentration report, we will keep additional lookouts on the bridge. Then we will keep additional lookouts on either side on the wing.
And if anything looks or sounds suspicious, speed must be reduced. The captain informed and sightings reported.
It's mandatory to send in a report to the Ice Patrol, International Ice Patrol. And from these ships' reports and aerial surveillance, they keep on updating their reports constantly.
Pack ice is more visible, but it can still be difficult to see in certain conditions. Signs of approaching pack ice can be the abrupt smoothing of the sea and the gradual lessening of the sea swell, as well as the appearance of small ice floes and wildlife. The captain must first decide what type of ice lies ahead. At first, it may appear as small pieces, then gradually thicken as the ship goes deeper into the ice field. Never underestimate the hardness of ice. If ridging is severe, an alternative entry point should be found, as ridged ice may be far too thick and could severely damage the hull. If the ice has a definite beginning, an ice edge, always try and enter at 90 degrees. It is also preferable to enter on the leeward side, as the windward edge will be more compact with greater wave action. The engineers must be informed of the moment of entry into the ice, so they can respond immediately to demands for extra power if the captain decides it's necessary to force the ice. The Purple Star is now in the pack ice, and its movements become increasingly restricted.